My name is Cynthia Lum. I am a professor of criminology, law, and society, and also the director of the Center for Evidence-Based Crime Policy at George Mason University. I primarily study policing and evidence-based crime policy, and I'm particularly interested in how science is translated, implemented, and institutionalized into everyday policing activities, such as patrol or investigations. I think the most urgent issue facing policing today has probably been the main issue of policing in our democracy for decades, but perhaps just made even more urgent by the times that we currently live in. And that is, how do the police work with people and other government entities to really ensure safety, but at the same time do so in ways that are respectful, that are lawful, equitable, effective, and accountable to people and our democratic values. Of course, this is an ideal. It's not easily obtained. And I think police agencies currently are being questioned more and more on what they're doing to achieve this ideal. The police have really long relied on the law and their craft to try and achieve these things, which we now know are not enough to obtain a high quality of policing. I work, for example, in the area of evidence-based policing, and I would strongly argue that we need much more scientific research and knowledge to guide policing efforts. And this includes more systematic and transparent information systems to be better able to understand the impact and also the differential impacts that police activities are having on our communities. And we also need to use, translate, and institutionalize the research that we already have, the things that we already know about crime, crime prevention, fairness, community, and trust in our continual efforts to improve policing and criminal justice more generally. I think it's difficult to predict that. After President Obama's task force on 21st century policing, I thought we were making real progress towards a variety of reforms in policing, but for every one step forward, we can easily take 10 steps back. Floyd's death, for example, while on the one hand was a driving force for a lot of change and reform, but it also showcased some of the worst that policing has to offer. And the killing of Floyd, along with many other deaths of Black Americans in police custody, continues to severely damage the already fragile trust and the confidence between police and minority communities. And at the same time, I think many communities really need high quality policing to keep violence at bay in some places. And such high quality policing, it's not going to be accomplished by either reshuffling funds elsewhere or getting rid of bad apples. Within policing, the changes that need to happen are organizational and long-term and get to the very cellular levels of policing. Many of the reforms that are currently being discussed really only scratch at the surface and don't get at some of these really micro-level aspects of policing that really need to be re-engineered in order for police to be more effective, fair, and legitimate. The biggest barriers preventing our country from moving forward in many different sectors, and not just criminal justice, are very similar. At the political level, progress can be easily erased by divisive leadership or poor information, a disregard or shunning of science, things like blatant racism, disregard for civility. And so I think there has been really a terrible split in our society, and no doubt a lot of negativity in our society that undermines governance. And policing is very much a part of that governance. On the day-to-day level, I think barriers often are organizational aspects that inhibit reform. What I mean is that it's easy, for example, to purchase a technology or to acquire some kind of training to address reform efforts, but it's much harder to adjust accountability and deployment infrastructures to ensure that that technology are being used in ways that optimize accountability, or that lessons from training are being institutionalized and also supervised into everyday behaviors at the frontline level. So I suppose the biggest barriers to any kind of change are our own habits, our cynicism, our suspicion of others, our fears, our resistance to learn new things. It really takes an effort to compromise, to listen to the other side, and to find ways to understand each other. We all struggle at these things just simply because we're humans.